is first off, the idea here is it will take for example, this is what was submitted as the PR description. What we do is we come over the top of that and we provide additional commenting to be able to help out the PR reviewer as well as the person who submitted the PR. The first part about this, I mean, if you think about like what happens when you're trying to review a PR normally, it usually involves coming in and looking at files changed, right? And you're trying to understand a bit more about what's going on here? Why were these changes made? Are these changes going to have any sort of adverse impact that I should be exploring, and so forth? What we do is make this experience extremely easier. The first part is the changes walkthrough. So, what we do is we give a file by file breakdown and kind of put in layman's terms what this file change was about. It added support for certain types of tokens. It refactored certain parts of this. It kind of gives you that kind of high level view of what this is about, and then you can click on this to look at the diff, right? So it really helps you to be able to kind of get through a PR much more quickly with kind of that important, helpful context on what these changes are about. Now, the next part about this is really kind of where we start getting a little bit more intensive in our analysis. This is where we start to take a look at the PR and give you like an estimated effort or review, a scale from 1 to 5. 5 being this takes a lot of effort because there was a bucket load of changes. Maybe there's other impacts that need to be explored. Or 1 being, hey, someone came in and maybe changed like a couple of doc strings or a logging message or something, right? So as part of this, then we also help the PR reviewer to understand were there relevant tests. I mean, hopefully after what David and I showed you, like you'll be able to more easily generate tests and make sure that there are tests associated with your PRs. That if there are any security concerns, we'll highlight them. And then also if there's potential bugs, code duplication, other issues, like we really want to surface those earlier so that they don't get overlooked. In fact, some of our customers who have evaluated our product have actually gone back to previous PRs that were known to have introduced bugs or incidents or otherwise, and actually run our product against it to see if we would have discovered the issue before it got released. And the answer is yes. Um, the other part of this is we also give a variety of other code suggestions. So if you remember earlier, we showed you the /improve command in the IDE. This is very similar. What it's doing is reviewing the code that's been changed and giving you a list of suggestions that are sorted by score. So the top of the list here would be kind of your most important code suggestions. And this also gets more in depth than the previous suggestions. So you're going to see that will actually take you exactly to the lines of code. We'll show you exactly what we would change. As an example of this that I saw a few weeks ago now, potential null pointer exception scenario. And we recommend changing the code, and they were able to actually take the code as it was shown here and apply that in a new commit to be able to remove that sort of risk from the PR. And so that's kind of a PR agent in a nutshell. There's one other thing I want to show you though, which is if we go back over to files changed, a new feature that we added in. We have a Chrome extension, by the way, for this. Um, if we go into files changed, there's a Chrome extension available that will actually allow you to chat about the PR right here. So if you did, for some reason, for example, you didn't want comments on the PR, I had one person mention, like, I don't know, I feel like that would be too noisy. Fine. You can actually just come in here and say, like, outline the changes to this PR. Or examples that you might see from earlier, like what are the potential risks introduced by this PR? And it will kind of break down things that you might want to explore or look at. And this is private to you. This is all run locally on your browser, and you can use this as a way to kind of not only find issues, but maybe even ask it like, hey, how could I change XYZ code to prevent this issue? And it will help you with that. So the idea is having that chat right there as you're reviewing the PR to also act as a way to be able to help you. The last thing I'll note, and then I'll be curious, David, is there any other commentary from your end that you think maybe I overlooked, would be the configurability. So behind the scenes, you can't see this here, but there's configuration files that can be done globally or at a per repo level that allow you to be able to customize this. So for example, down here where we're providing PR code suggestions, you can actually customize it. Say like, okay, never give me more than 2 suggestions, or only give me suggestions that are above a certain score threshold, or maybe don't you maybe just type out like, don't give me recommendations that pertain to logging messages. I had a customer recently where they had a really weird scenario in this particular repo where they had the number 10 as a string. And we flagged that within our product and said, you should probably convert that to an integer. But for some reason in their code, the string 10 was actually accurate. It was considered good. And they wanted to instruct it like, hey, just ignore cases like this in the future. They had the ability to be able to do that. So that's PR agent.
Private chat does not actually add it as a comment. So as you're doing this, you're private and it's only between you and PR agent. And that's a big thing. So if you're a manager or even a reviewer and you're like, man, I don't know what library they're using, what is this? You can actually go and ask it. And there's 2 things. You're not putting another comment, which would hit the original PR person to open up the request. They're saying, why are you asking this? You could just put it in here and you're not giving noise to the developer who did the PR. It's just coming back in. So that's what I like. The beauty of this is we're lowering the noise canceling ratio. We're lowering that by giving you this ability to ask these questions without having to do the /improve or /ask on the PR. There's a global configuration that you can set for all of your repositories in that product, like GitHub or Bitbucket. And then there's a one per your repository. So it is highly configurable. So the answer is yes, you can have described, or you can say, no, you don't want described to happen right away. It's up to you.
Yeah, so as an example of this actually ties to another question, which is more about the customizability of this too. Is like, first off, kind of like with PR with Codimate, there's different commands that can be run. So there's a describe command, there's a review command, there's an improve command, and under each of those, I mean, I'm not going to go into every one of these, but like there's a variety of configuration options. All of these are documented and whatnot for you. And then also, you have the ability to indicate when a PR is created, which of those commands do you want to run automatically, right? You always have the ability to run a command ad hoc and write a / command as a comment. We'll pick up on it and we'll come in and add our own commentary based on your command. But the idea is that these commands can be run automatically, and you can indicate those here. And then likewise, you can go through and there's a large variety of the types of I guess configurations that can be offered. The example I used earlier with the improve command is how many suggestions you want to see or what the score threshold might be. But there's a huge amount of additional ones. Probably one of the most popular ones though for every command is the extra instructions. This is where you can kind of just in plain English indicate like how you want the recommendations to be, things you want to see more of, less of, or otherwise. You can provide that sort of extra instructions on pretty much every type of command. But the idea is out of the box. These are the 3 that we usually focus on, but there's even more commands that weren't shown. There's other ones that can help with analysis, for deeper analysis of the PRs and so forth. But the idea was kind of give you a nice sampling to understand what the potential might be.
Well,
I was gonna
you go all the way
say,
down to, yeah, right there. So if you click on something, you go to add. So click on like describe, and
okay.
you can add or review and add something like extra instructions. And whatever you need, just click on extra. If you see export as config, what's nice about this is now you don't have to go read the docs. Just go click on export as config over on the right. And now you have that to copy and put it in your config to be used the next time. So it's kind of a nice, how do I do this one? What's the syntax for that in the TOML file? You don't need to go look it up. You can just use this Chromium extension and you can cheat that way.